Welcome in to the NSFW Dynasty podcast. I am your host, Dave Reed, and joined by only right now the magnificent Joey Gallo. How you doing, sir?
What's up, man? No Ryan this week. Um, what was his conflict? Is it worthwhile? I don't even remember what it was, but
I don't know. Honestly, it's just
I'm sure it was worthwhile if he's not on the pod. But
all of our lives are too complicated these days, and
yeah,
they may even seem like trivial things, but having kids, multiple kids,
yeah,
jobs, other
wives.
family traveling, and
Yeah,
it could be a million different things. We all, and as you guys know, we sometimes we skip pods, sometimes we have to move around. It's because we all have conflicts on
yeah,
this. This is the
yeah.
only day we were able to get work.
Before the last 2 weeks, we went like
We want to,
one pod in over the course of maybe 9 months. So
yeah, yeah. It's
we're
difficult,
not a
but
model of consistency here.
we do it for you still. We still try to carve out time to make it happen. Joey's even do this during a Yankees playoff run, which that
Yeah,
might be more important than his children. So
elimination game. Fortunately, they put up a couple runs right before we hit record, so hopefully that they can keep that cushion and I can split my attention for the next hour
you
between
do
three
look a
jobs.
little less tense right now. I will say that. Right, but when you joined, very stressed. Those extra runs gave you a
We got
little ease.
some good fortune. Hopefully, we can hang on.
But this is a football podcast, not
Yeah,
baseball's
no
over
baseball.
anyway. I don't. What is this playoff baseball? That just doesn't exist. Season ended about like 2 weeks ago. Was it a week ago? I don't know. It's over. I don't care about baseball anymore now that the Mets are out. Anyway, back into the weekly highlights of week 4. Biggest thing we kind of alluded to last spot, but the New York Giants beat the undefeated Chargers, and Jackson Dart looks very good. Let's go, Joe. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Um, he looked good. The game plan was interesting. Obviously, he ran even more than I expected.
Yeah, the
Um,
under yards actually was like the favorite bet in that draw. I think it line started like 36, 37, and it actually got bet under, and that went way over.
yeah, I he probably needs to slide a hair earlier or slide at all. Really, there were several instances where
Yeah,
he didn't slide at
definitely
all.
do not use your throwing hand to
Yeah,
stiff arm.
yeah,
He almost
yeah,
like broke his shoulder on.
yeah. But overall, had good command of the offense. I liked what I saw. The team seemed like they had a little bit of pep. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we'll get to at some point the loss of Malik
Mm,
Neighbors, which really
yes.
cast a shadow on what was an overall good day for the team. But I think we'll learn a lot this week um, on the road against a bad team. First road start. Um, this is a game they, in theory, should win. But the money's coming in on the Saints. The Saints have been playing pretty well the last couple of weeks. They probably
Interesting.
should have
Interesting.
won one of the last 2 weeks. So it's not going to be an easy one. So we'll see. If they decidedly win this one, then we'll be having a different conversation during next week's pod.
Yeah. I'm feeling good that I'm a little. I think the neighbors' injury is the reason why the line has shifted to the Saints being favored now. But I'm going all in. My survivor, I'm taking them because screw it. This is the only game. If I'm going to take the Giants, it's the only game of the year I'm going to take them. So there's no money in the survivor. I probably wouldn't take them if there was, but it's all pride. But yeah, I liked what I saw. He just has his. I know everyone talks about aura farming these days, but he just has like the right like confidence and swagger and like leadership mentality. He believes in himself and he comes prepared. But it that leadership quality it leads to like the rest of the team believing. Like you just said, like you saw the Pep team, like everyone believed, everyone was hyped. You saw the defense finally really stepping up because they
Yeah.
believe that the offense can get it done, and the offense kept the defense off the field for a while. So like they really were believing, and obviously the neighbors' injury stunk, but like the first drive, which was like the future of the Giants, it was 3 players. It was
Yeah.
Dart, it was Scadaboo, and it was Neighbors. That was it. No one else touched the ball on that drive. So I'm very excited. But moving from one quarterback who got his first start, there's a new quarterback starting for their first time this week in Cleveland, and it's maybe not the one that everyone thought initially, but it's going to be Dylan Gabriel is getting the start after Flacco has been pretty terrible and getting benched. I mean, expecting Flacco at this age to be that good, probably a pipe dream, but Gabriel is getting a start against the who are they playing again now? The Vikings in
Yeah,
London, I believe.
the
Actually.
London game.
So that's a tough pass defense to go against. So I don't have high hopes for him. He's also probably the shortest player on the field. But what's your take on that situation?
Yeah, the right move for sure. I mean, I was relying on Flacco as a fill-in quarterback in a super flex dynasty league where I lost Burrow and just like literally knew my time with him in the starting lineup was coming to an end. Just he's been
He's been bad,
very very bad.
very bad.
So thank you, Joe. It's been a good career, and you've done some good things, especially for fantasy. Even these last couple of years, just
Yeah,
throwing the ball 40 times a game, it's been a delight. But I have a good feeling about this week for the Browns. I don't think the Vikings are very good. At least right now, at least this version of the Vikings with Carson Wentz, they are on like a, a third string center.
yeah.
They have like several injuries on the offensive line. Um, and yeah, uh, I don't. I think that game is going to be horrific. But I was
I
listening
think
to
the over
another.
under is 35.5 right now.
Yeah, yeah, and I took the under. There was one straggling 36.5 out there today on DraftKings, and I took it.
Jesus.
I feel like with these games with the totals that low, like they can't possibly put it low enough to
Yeah,
truly account for how disgusting it's going to be.
there's only one time I think I've ever seen an over under that low, and I was like confident in the under and hit it. And it was like a Seattle snow game where I think there were 13 points total
Yeah,
score in that game. But yeah,
yeah. No, no, no. But so the thing I was going to say for this week alone, um, was listening to Stuckey earlier on Action Network, and he gave some pretty strong numbers for Dylan Gabriel in his largely college career against the blitz. He's really, really good against the blitz, and the Vikings blitz like second or third most in the league. So we'll see. Maybe it'll be a good week for the Browns. They're getting like 3 or 4 points too, and so you know, for what it's worth, I think
I
there's probably some
actually
value there. Their defense is pretty
the
good too.
defense is
So
excellent. And Gabriel I was like very low on coming draft. I just didn't think he has like the skill to be a true NFL quarterback. But the preseason play and the action he's gotten has been decent actually. And I actually thought he's looked sharper than Sanders, to be honest, on the field of what I've seen since they both put on Browns jerseys. But so we'll see. This is it'll be an interesting environment. The London games too. You'll never like those. It's always weird games overseas. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. Another weird game. It was great, but it just kind of left you feeling weird at the end of it. Was the Sunday night matchup of the Packers Cowboys? It was a 40-40 tie. Scoregami. First time that's ever happened. Um, but yeah, I, I don't know what's going on with the Packers. I thought they had one of the best defenses. They apparently stink the last like couple weeks. The defense giving up 40 points to a CD Lambless Cowboys was crazy. Um, but yeah, it was just a wild game. A lot of stats we have. My parlay, which we'll get to, missed by a few yards for two players, but knew that there would be a lot of scoring in this game. But what was your take coming out of that game? I know we all watched most of it. They had overtime. There was a lot of action, but yeah, there was a lot of takeaways, a lot of fantasy points all around.
yeah, I'm trying to not overreact to the last 2 weeks with Green Bay's defense. Um, I think that I mean
40 points is a lot.
40 points is a lot, but on the road in Dallas, it's in like such an emotional game. Um, I just kind of feel like at a certain point there, like there was like uh, so much of that was about, like the
Mika,
atmosphere and the environment and Micah. Yeah, like I just kind of feel that, like I, I I can't see how the Cowboys can possibly like match that type of energy again this week. and it also just kind of feels like a lot of. I mean, Dak's been playing great,
That's
so
great.
that's
Yeah.
that's why, and Javante
Pickens-
Williams has been great too. Like it's not like their offense
Yes.
has been bad. The defense, the Green Bay defense looked awesome for like the first like what 13 or 14 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Um,
And then
and then
got
they had
destroyed.
yeah, they had some misfortune, and yeah, so I'm chalking that up to an emotional game. Um, I'm tossing it out as a data point for the Packers defense, and um, the Cowboys defense, as we I mean, like we know they're bad. They've been bad. They looked like they had a couple like solid showings here or there in this game. I think like a couple like goal line stands, and
Um,
like they weren't terrible, but I think overall, I'm not changing my opinion on either of these two teams coming out of that game.
yeah. I mean, every week. Any of our same game parlays, the first game I'm looking at is the Cowboys game for the most part because their defense is just terrible, and there's the overs are going to hit on a lot of those. Um, Pickens had a huge game. This is you got to finally see him what it would look like as a wide receiver one, and he showed out in the first opportunity to do so, which was awesome to see. Ferguson is going to eat a ton of targets. May not always be efficient yards, but he's going to get a ton of work. But I think I want to give the call out is last week's Ryan's sleeper that they threw out was Romeo Dobbs, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
So he got like these were like goal line or red zone targets too. These weren't like deep shots he brought. Like when they're in the red zone, Dobbs is not a huge player, but Love is looking for him.
they're looking for him. It's
Yeah,
weird, but
it's
yeah,
like first target read right to Dobbs. So
yeah,
that was a great call by Ryan. I want to give the props to that. I think Ryan actually had him on his team as well. So it looked good. And Golden, it's funny because Wicks and Golden, I was expecting more from, and it looked like there was the first catch by them. They were in the same spot, and I don't know who it was supposed to go to, but Golden went and ripped it away no matter what. Um, I'm still encouraged by Golden. I think I mean, rookies, and we'll get into it a little bit later when we get into like the sell, buy, sell, but I think we've gotten too spoiled with rookie wide receivers, and I think our patience is of on them is
a little
got
thin.
a little
Yeah,
thin right now. But I think Golden is showing some. He's showing a lot of flashes, and I think later in the second half of the season, he'll get a little bit more consistency there. But I also want to jump to the Eagles. The Eagles won again. They beat the Bucks. It was actually two undefeated teams. The Bucks made it interesting at the end. Baker is a dog, and he had a good game, even though it started out ugly. He turned it into almost was able to come back and win that game. But the Eagles did end up winning. They cheated with a fake tush push that has the outside. But really want to highlight that Jalen Hurts passed for 0 passing yards in the second half. He finished the game with 130. He has only eclipsed like 130 or 150 once out of 4 games so far. I've actually been looking at his under. The line is like 180 something, like one because his average in the season that because he had one game with like 300. So yeah, what is your take? Like the Eagles, the Bucks beat up a lot of injuries, still look great. I think those weapons work. Baker, I think he should. I still think he's underrated. But Eagles, like, what is your take on what's going on here? Because there's issues there.
I don't really know. They've been fortunate. They're a very lucky 4-0 right now, and I can't really put my finger on what it is because the passing offense has largely been bad, although it looked good last week, the week before last, week 3 when it needed to. Um, Barkley is getting a ton of volume, but he just can't seem to break the big one this year like he was breaking them last year. And I don't think it's an offensive line situation because the offensive line is not really like super banged up. Um, the defense has been fine. They have their good halves or moments and bad halves. Um, I would be a little concerned, frankly. It's like the vibes are not great for a 4-0 team. They have very like low vibes for 4-0 team, and like there's video of both of the wide receivers walking off the field like unhappy. Like last week they won the game, but they scored on 2 of those little shovel passes to Dallas Goddard, and
AJ Brown had to apologize for or clarify what his comments in the tweet, who they
Yeah,
were not
yeah,
directed at, which
yeah,
if they're not directed at all those people. I don't really know what the point of that
yeah.
is.
Obviously, they were directed at. Like, come
Well,
on.
it had nothing to do with my
Yeah,
quarterback, my manager. Okay, then what was it?
yeah,
You didn't tell us what it was.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So, yeah,
yeah,
it's not. But I mean, look, you know, if you can go through like a tough patch of the season and come out of it 4-0, then
yeah.
it's obviously
They,
not a bad thing. So, and the
they,
Giants will be playing them 2 out of the next 3 weeks after this one. So,
I don't understand how they make matchups that close to each other, but
yeah,
I mean, they've done this. The Eagles did this what like 2 years ago. Offense looked terrible for like
yeah,
the first like 8 weeks, and they figured it out. But yeah, well, moving on. I want to catch everyone up quickly on some notable injuries that happened this past week. Starting QB. Well, I'll say right now, starting QB Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy. It's currently Thursday night football going on. We're in the third quarter. Brock Purdy is ruled out. Mac Jones is balling. But he has another toe injury, and he was missed 2 games before with turf toe. So maybe he re-aggravated. It may be something just to keep an eye on. I wouldn't be surprised if this is something kept popping up throughout the year. But also at quarterback, Lamar Jackson has a hamstring injury. Today it actually came out that he's going to be ruled out for this week and probably next week too. They have a week 7 bye, so you're going to be without Lamar for at least 3 weeks. That should give him enough time to come back from the hamstring injury. But for a player as dynamic and uses his legs as much as he does, that's not what you want to hear. He's still a great passer, but the cheat code is his rushing. Running back, this was uh, kind of came out of nowhere. Trey Benson hit the IR. It came out that, and I got in on this early in a couple of places that like Sunday or Monday that like maybe he was getting an MRI, something's wrong, and then all of a sudden it's like it's maybe he's hurt, maybe he'll miss this week, and then all of a sudden boom IR. He had surgery on his meniscus. He's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks now, is the estimate. So Amar DiMarcado and Michael Carter wheels up on those two. Those are guys that honestly in Dynasty were both available, which is pretty crazy that you don't really find 2 running backs who are going to get that big of a workload available. Bucky Irving was spot on crutches and cast. Turns out he has a sprained foot. He's going to miss this week. We'll see if it goes beyond this week, but we're going to see Syracuse legend Sean Tucker get back in. We'll talk about him later. Brilliant Allen has an MCL injury. It says it's pretty serious, actually, and he's probably going to miss multiple weeks. I don't know if he's hit IR yet, but I don't think I'd rule that out. Wide receivers, again, in tonight's Thursday night football game, Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings. Pearsall has like a knee injury that he aggravated. Juwan Jennings, everything's just hurt. Like, yeah, I think he
yeah.
has 3 injuries. The guy, I don't know why he's hurt more and more. He didn't even play last week. I don't know why he's hurt again. But they're out tonight. The biggest one that hurts us the most is Malik Neighbors tore his ACL because the MetLife turf is the worst thing, and that just sucks because he is like
One of
so
the most exciting players in
exciting
the
players.
entire league.
Like
Yeah.
everyone, like regardless of a Giants fan, like he is one of the most exciting players, and everyone knows it and loves him watching him. So that stinks, especially you only got to see like 2 drives with Jackson Dart with him, so that kind of stinks. Tyreek Hill, really disgusting, brutal injury. Dislocated his knee, which multiple ligament tears. It means it's ACL. Could be multiple MCL, PCL. Could be a ton of that, and even more damage than that. This is like a seriously potentially career-ending injury, especially because he's already 31. But even if he was younger, this is something that could end most players' careers. So, and there's a lot of arteries down there. Everything turned out to be okay, but that's like a dangerous injury for him. So, hopefully he gets better, even though don't love his character all the time. You don't wish that on anyone. Cedric Tillman, a little lesser, but in the Dynasty community, everyone knows him, and he was starting a lot of spots. Has a hamstring injury. He's out this week. That may open up slots for a guy named Isaiah Bond, who we'll talk about later as well. And then today at tight end, Brock Bowers actually was downgraded to a did not practice today after being limited yesterday. That's not what you want to see on a Thursday. You don't want to see people start practicing and then trending the wrong direction. That is a really bad sign. That means they probably aggravated something in practice and they're likely not going to play. I'm a Bowers owner now. I'm going to have to probably pivot. We'll see what happens on Friday, but it's not looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, any thoughts on any of those injuries? You want to pop into the quick question?
No, I'll just throw out one thought. I think the Tillman injury might end up being a net positive in Cleveland. That plus the change in quarterback.
Yeah, Jared Judy's
Um,
finally going to eat.
I have Harold Fannin in a couple places too, and I've been like, do I want to hang on to Fannin? Do I not? I think this might be like the time where Fannin might kind of emerge a little bit as well. He might be worth a look as I mean the game's going to be disgusting, but
Yeah,
like I think he's going to stand to benefit a bit there.
I I don't disagree. I'm not sure about this week. I'm very hesitant because I think the game's gonna be gross. It could
Yeah,
happen. I just
yeah,
it's like a coin flip of which way. But I do think going forward it's a good look because I feel like rookie class players usually have a certain type of chemistry to each other too. So I feel like
yeah.
Cannon and Gabriel
Dylan
or even
Gabriel.
Sander, whoever ends up going there, if it's not Flacco, I feel like there will be more chemistry there. So
Yeah,
I would definitely be excited about Fannon's prospect moving forward. Well, quick question. Throw it out there.
quick
Just you and
question.
me. We're going to riff on this one, but obviously we know a lot of fantasy players' value is kind of tied to their team's offenses. So now that we've got about 4 weeks of data, what NFL team offenses are you most excited for their fantasy options based on the performance so far, and what offenses are you most disappointed about and concerned about the options of those offenses?
Yeah, so excited. Um, I'll throw out. I want to say the Bears, but I'm not going to say the Bears. I'll throw out Seattle.
I am excited for the Bears.
Seattle has pleasantly surprised me.
Yeah,
Sam Darnold has looked good. JSN has looked awesome. Both running backs have had opportunities and have largely looked good with their opportunities. Um, their rookie wide receiver Torrey Horton's been getting involved. So overall, I they're a good team, and they don't seem to have really. There were obvious concerns and a whole narrative in the offseason about losing Geno and transitioning to Darnold and what's Darnold going to look like. Darnold looks good. I mean, he's not great, but
he
he's
looks
good.
better than Geno actually.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there and this is a little bit of a um, spoiler alert for later for one of my buy picks is actually on Seattle. So yeah, I mean, I'm in on Seattle's offense. I really like what I see. So yeah, that's going to be my choice for who I'm feeling good about. How about you? Who are you feeling good about?
Yeah, I mean the Bears just the offense. I'm very encouraged by it. The Colts. I mean, obviously we didn't know it was going to go with DJ. That was an offense I think most people were a little bit lower on, but having not Anthony Richardson has been great for JT. JT looks like a monster this year. Jonathan, it was unbelievable. But then you're seeing like Warren dominating and Pittman getting resurgence because he's a quarterback that can hit him. So that's exciting to see. The Chargers just passing offense too, because again, that was something I think everyone went in thinking that Harbaugh was going to be a run offense, and you haven't seen Herbert really dominate. And he weren't sure what the weapons were going to even look like for Herbert. Thought Ladd was like the only real good one, and Keenan's old, and Huge wasn't going to be that great, and they didn't really have tight end. But they got four like Gatson now. Ladd's like the most disappointing of these options now, but. So that one's been surprising, but it's exciting to see, especially if you're a Herbert owner, because you love seeing that. And then finally, the Rams I just throw out there just because came into the offseason with all the worry injuries about Stafford if they're going to play, and then Puka slid down draft boards and everything because that Puka might be like the number one asset right now. I think he's a wide receiver one. If I was redrafting Dynasty, he's dominating.
Yeah.
So those are all ones that I just want to call out that I find are pretty exciting because that we had lower expectations for them going to the year, and they've really proved us wrong, and I think it's sustainable.
Yeah, and unfortunately, right, like not to throw cold water on one of those, but the Chargers offensive line situation is a real bummer.
Yeah, Joe
And
got
they
hurt.
they've lost like yeah, they lost
Slater
they
too.
lost later in the yeah, and then they lost all and I think they're going to get one guy but like they're down like 3 like top 30 PFF graded offensive linemen. And it's just like really it's an unfortunate scene because Herbert is getting pressured. I mean, granted, last week was the Giants, and the Giants. That's like the one
Pressure
thing the
time. Yeah.
defense can do is get pressure. But we'll see. I'm slightly concerned about them moving forward. We'll
I
see.
know, especially too if they had those guys. Hampton might be a top 3 running back. He's already
Yeah,
looking like he could be top 7, top
yeah,
5 this year. He's dominating and he's catching passes. He
yeah,
had that offensive line going to next year, and they get healthy. My God, like
yeah,
he's gonna dominate. But what about on the bad side? What offenses have you
yeah.
concerned?
On the bad side, um, the Texans have been tough for me. Um,
Yeah,
I haven't liked what I've seen at all. Um, I have uh, Nico Collins in one league where in a one redraft league where my team is 3-1. It's a full point PPR, and like literally after every week of the season, I've had the thought of like maybe I should try and move on from Nico and see if I can capitalize. And I really shouldn't like you shouldn't be having those type of thoughts about a wide receiver as good as him. And like, Ballers released their rest started to like put up rest of season rankings, and Nico was like 4 or 5 in like their rest of season wide receiver rankings. And I'm like, all right, maybe I should pump the brakes a little bit. But the offense just hasn't looked good. The offensive line is terrible. Stroud's decision making hasn't been great. There's also like a lot, like sneaky lot of guys that he throws the ball to,
yep.
and
None of which are reliable.
yeah, like
That's
Woody
all their
Marks,
faults.
like Marks looked great last week, um, and I bought in on him, you know, on the waiver wire this week. Actually, in that same league where I have Nico, so now I have two pieces of that offense in the same league. But I hope that they can they can get it together and show a little more. But it's just that's been unfortunate, and it kind of stinks because there's 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 they have a couple guys there that should be better. I mean, obviously not having Joe Mixon has kind of hurt, but we'll see. Maybe if Woody Marks he's got a lot of juice. Maybe he can do something and turn the offense around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this was the offense I was saying coming into the season. I was terrified of. I mentioned, like, I literally was just scared. Like, Nico, I think will be fine enough, but I would like wanted nothing to do with this offense because the offense line, as you mentioned, is terrible. It was terrible last year, and they keep trading. They just traded this past week. I think Cam Johnson, or I forgot his name, but Cam Robinson, the offensive lineman, like for a 7th round or 6th round pick. Why are the Texans trading with O linemen? You guys have the worst O line in the league, and CJ Stroud has never been good against pressure. Even back at Ohio State, when his worst games was when he got pressured on. He can't handle it. He's not athletic, and outside of Nico Collins, his wide receivers are rookies. Like he's like, what's he going to throw to? And he has looked bad himself this year as well, but he's under pressure. So
Last year too,
yeah, last year
he's
too.
been
So
bad for a while.
he's taking a page out of the Trevor Lawrence playbook there. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm worried about that offense for sure. Other ones are like I just want to call it Bengals. I think we can just throw out there. I'm just everyone. I think you just got to downgrade everyone. Like I think Jamar Chase at best is like a low end wide receiver 2. Rest of the year, like I'm not in Dynasty. I'm not like selling him short because he's going to be wide receiver 1 dominant next year. But like redraft, there's a lot of guys that rather have than Jamar Chase. Tight ends are just straight up ass. They are just Cam Ward looks terrible. The whole offense looks terrible. I do think Cam Ward at least has the right mental makeup and calling things out. But I think the offense, the coach, everything, the organization is just a disaster. So I'm not expecting much out of that offense this year.
too
Eagles,
too too
yeah.
tough, too tough at Minnesota, at Denver the last two
You
weeks.
just said
That's
Minnesota's not that good.
that's their defense is pretty
I'm
good
joking.
though.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I think those are two tough road, like two tough defenses to play on the road. So for whatever it's worth, um,
he
there
he's
might still be their defense is horrific.
Yeah, I mean the whole team is terrible, but
Yeah,
they're I don't know. No, I haven't seen any. The only good play they had was a horrible play that ended up being okay with
yeah,
the across the body throw down to like Adam Meyer. Like that should have been a horrible pick six.
yeah.
That was the only good play they've had like all year.
Oh, you're talking about the Titans. Sorry,
The Titans, yeah.
I was talking about the Bengals. Sorry,
Oh no. Oh yeah. Bengals
sorry.
are Bengals are
Yeah,
bad.
you said the you mentioned the Bengals before the Titans, right? You
Yeah.
definitely said the
Yeah,
Bengals.
yeah. I
Okay,
said Bengals are bad, and then
sorry.
I moved the Titans.
Yeah.
It's okay. But the
The
Titans,
Bengals are better than the Titans. I much prefer the Bengals offense
I
and
think,
weapons,
I think
even with
they're.
Jake Browning, to
I,
anybody on the
I
Titans.
think there will be better days for the Bengals, but I don't
Yeah,
think they're going to be. I think you have to downgrade every value there.
yeah.
And then The Eagles we already talked about, so I'll pass on that. But the Cardinals too just kind of have not been as good as like their record and everything. They just obviously we know the running back position got hurt. Kyler will always end up with enough rushing points to make his fantasy doc score look okay, but it's just not clicking right now. It doesn't. I would. I don't feel good about that offense with the pieces in it right now.
Yeah.
Any other calls you want to say? Panthers. I mean, Bryce looks real bad again. I'm out on Bryce again.
Yeah.
It,
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I'm out. Penix has been up and down. I'm still encouraged by Penix because I think he'll throw it downfield. This past week was pretty good. 49ers, everyone's dead, but they're still showing out somehow. But I also wanted to say the regression fairies that everyone's saying James Cook and Baker Mayfield couldn't keep up what they did last year with the TDs. They're staying away. They are keeping it up. So we'll see what happens there. But with that said, we're gonna move into our next segment. Let's see if this drop is a little louder. If it works, it's a long drop, so I apologize, but we'll get into it.
Number one rule of Wall Street: nobody. I don't care if you're Warren Buffett or if you're Jimmy Buffett. Nobody knows if a stock is going to go up, down, sideways, or in fucking circles.
But we do know. We're going to tell you which stocks to be buying and selling in the Dynasty community.
Yep.
Joe, you want to jump in first? Ryan obviously not here, but he did give us some of his picks, so we'll talk about those as well. But Joe, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, hang on. I lost my show, Doc. Why don't you go first?
All right, I'll go first then. This one will be a bit of surprise for some of our league mates that are hopefully listening to this pod. Is my first buy is actually going to be Garrett Wilson. Dr. Dan, if you're listening, this one's for you. But I actually had this in before you mentioned anything about Garrett Wilson. I do believe he's a buy. It's been a bit of a roller coaster in his career so far. But I am on the buy side now. No one's ever questioned his talent. He's amazing getting open. He has amazing hands. He can run basically any route. But for multiple years now, he's kind of disappointed, and his stock has kind of sunk a bit because of it. And a lot of that's been tied to the quarterback play. I mean, obviously, he plays for the Jets. Quarterbacks have been terrible. There, he had Rodgers last year. 2 years ago, he had Zach Wilson and whoever else was on that roster. Last year was Rodgers, but they brought Devontae Adams over. And Rodgers likes precise route running and you're there when you're there, but Wilson has a little bit more movement in his routes to get open. So he may not have the timing that Rodgers wanted, so that didn't really connect as much. And this year he's got Fields, who's just straight up one of them. He's a running back. The guy cannot throw the ball that well. So his value's kind of been sunk by this, but why do I think he's a buy? Well, his target quality may be low, but he gets all of the targets. Like so many. He's got breaking the record, I think, on like the amount of targets through like the first 3 years or so. His first 3 years, he's had at least 25% target share in all 3 seasons. And so far this year through week 4, he's had 38 total targets, which equaled a target share of 36.5%, which is absolutely insane. So Justin Fields, terrible passer. But if you're going to get that big of a slice of the pie, you're going to win on pure volume alone. And so far, you don't see this You do have seen this translating a bit to like his top finishes. I think so far he has like 3 top 12 in 4 weeks, but you're not seeing this translate to me in his value. I don't think enough of his perceived value is at this high level yet. I think people are still have the Jets stink on him, especially knowing how bad Justin Fields has been. But I don't think Justin Fields is going to be the quarterback next year. And the Jets are going to be in position to likely draft the quarterback in the draft. And right now, the draft is not really looking that great for a lot of quarterback prospects, but it's still early in the college season. But could a rookie quarterback be that worse than what Justin Fields is at passing? I don't really think so. So I think, and if anything, like that's the floor from the passer. I think he could only go up. So if he gets maybe a good quarterback in the draft, the value is going to really skyrocket. Plus, if you're trying to make the trade, do it this week now because they play Dallas this week, and I think he's going to have a huge game as well. So this might be your last chance to probably get Wilson maybe in the wide receiver 2, mid to low end wide receiver 2 value, where he could probably, I think he'll be at minimum a high end wide receiver 2 rest of the way with a lot of wide receiver 1 upside. So I'd be going and getting Garrett Wilson. I won't do it because Dan and Harry would never trade him to me just because of pride, but I'm saying you should buy him.
Yeah, I'm honestly in on Garrett Wilson as well. The market share speaks for itself, to be totally honest.
Insane.
So, yeah. So hopefully he's able to maintain that, and it doesn't hurt that he's got a quarterback on the team that he had a pre-existing relationship with and already has like a good chemistry from college and whatnot. That certainly helps. But yeah, I too am in on Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. Quickly, I'll throw out Ryan's and we'll get to your show. Ryan had for his buy Emeka Egbuka. Someone kind of speaks for himself, and I think it's more of a point of buying high because his value can still go up. And I'm not against this at all. Emeka Egbuka seems like he's the real deal, and it's the same thing. This is like early rookie season of Puka. Like I tried to get Puka I think after week 1 for like a first and plus, and I got turned down and Chris, the owner in our league, could turn me down. That was a great call. So I think because he only grew and got better, that could be the same case for Emeka. I'm not saying he is Puka point, but I'm just saying the same arc. If you believe in a player as a rookie year who shows out that early, try to get him before his volume goes up. But I don't know how high you are, Emeka. I know a lot of people think it's a potential sell high opportunity as well.
Yeah,
I think it depends
I
on what you
worry
get, but yeah.
for Dynasty. I think he's more of a buy. For redraft, I worry that he's benefited from the situation, and the situation is as good as it's going to get at this moment for him this season. You would think Chris Godwin's only going to get more comfortable and get worked, I guess, more into the offense, although he had like a metric ton of targets last week in his first game back. But Mike Evans is out. Jalen McMillan is out. Those guys will be back eventually.
Yeah.
So it just kind of feels like for this year, his his best days might be these last couple weeks and maybe the next few. But from a dynasty standpoint, it's tough. It's tough to buy somebody at the top of their market, or like when their value is so high right now. It just feels like if I have him, um, I'm not giving him up for very much
Yeah.
in a
Agreed.
dynasty. But from that perspective, he's certainly an asset that I want to have on my teams. Let's put it that way.
Agreed.
For my buy, I'm still buying this guy, even though the start of the season hasn't gone exactly to plan.
I think
But
this actually worked out in your favor.
what'd you say?
I think this actually worked. This beginning of the season worked out in your favor for this buy.
If you're looking to buy him, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's Zach Charbonnet of the Seattle Seahawks. So Charbonnet has had an interesting career, where there was a lot of hype surrounding him after he was first drafted, and kind of anticipating that he might come in and take the starting role like from early on in his career, but he never has, and he's kind of always been a little bit of a very expensive handcuff type, waiting in the wings guy, and stuck behind Kenneth Walker, who Kenneth Walker's a great running back as well, and when he's on the field he's been really good. The problem is Kenneth Walker is not always on the field, and even when he is, his consistency is not always there. He's relied a lot on long runs throughout his career and has scored a lot of touchdowns. He's a great player. And if you were to assure me that he would play every game for the rest of this season and that Seattle would look to extend him beyond this season, then that would change my opinion on Zach Charbonnet. But the reality is that, based upon past precedent, the likelihood of Kenneth Walker being injured and missing time at some point during the season is above average. So and beyond that, if I'm looking at Kenneth Walker's contract situation, I'm going to bring it up right now.
He's free agent after this year, isn't he?
Yeah, I think I'm 99% sure he is. He signed he is unrestricted free agent after 2025 season. So
He seems like a Jet next year. I'm not gonna lie. They're gonna let Brees walk and sign Walker.
Possibly. So I think you're getting a guy who, like you said earlier, has started the beginning of this season has kind of like started off kind of perfectly, where you are just like the Walker owners are kind of riding pretty high. Charbonnet owners might be, a little discouraged by how good Walker has looked. But don't like disregard the fact that Walker was just hurt in the preseason. He barely did any training camp. He looked awful in week 1. Charbonnet looked great. And then Charbonnet got hurt. Charbonnet scored last week. So I just think that the future is definitely bright. And in the opportunities that he had, towards the end of last season where Walker was out, anytime he's had the chance to lead the backfield, he's been fantastic. Running back 1 caliber guy. And yeah, I just think that there's probably opportunity now to get him at a price that I'm not quite sure there will be similar opportunity over the next 12 to 24 months. So
Yeah. I mean, I love Charbonnet. He's not an explosive back. I think he barely ever breaks a run over 10 yards ever, but he's just very shifty and like knows how to work through traffic. Walker, they're actually complement each other well because Walker is their home run hitter, but Walker
yeah,
also takes a ton of negative plays because he runs backwards. Where Sharps is always moving forward, which is why I think the coaches like him so much. He's not going to take any negative plays. So I like that. But I have him in redraft in a lot of spots. I'm a believer in him.
yeah. And the last thing I'll say, and this is a very important thing to say, even if um, Walker does not get hurt, and even if they share the backfield for the remainder of the year, you're still getting a valuable guy,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like he's still on the field, he still
yep.
gets
He seems more
plenty of
like a red zone
opportunity.
threat too.
Yeah,
Red zone threat. They like
yeah.
him in that
Got
area.
12 carries last week, scored a touchdown. Got
He almost
12
had
carries week
should have
1, scored a
had
touchdown.
another touchdown too. There was a JSN had a hold that didn't have an impact on the play,
Yeah,
but that highlights that the team trusts him in those short yardage areas because he can move through the traffic like that.
yeah. If you can get him, get him. Redraft and Dynasty.
I agree. Moving to the cells, I'm going to throw out Ryan's first because he's got an interesting one. Feels like a shot at me, and it's Travis Hunter. So I don't agree with this stuff, but I'll just throw it out there, and I get it, and I understand because I see it on Reddit too. So I think Ryan's not alone in this at all. You're seeing a rookie who is not putting up big stat lines. His snaps on both offense and defense have kind of been all over the place every single week. There hasn't been a lot of consistency. This last week, he played like I forgot, like 6 snaps on like the defensive side in the second half, so he was all offense at that point. But he's kind of been all over the place, but he hasn't really shown out. And then you see, and I think it's exasperated because you see guys like Emeka Buka standing out. Ted hasn't really broken out too much yet, but he's getting a good market share. So I think people start having potential buyer's remorse already. But before I get into my take, Joe, I'm curious what your view on Travis Hunter is so far.
I would still have him as a buy. I'm still interested in buying. Um, yeah, just it feels like they still haven't figured out the right way to use him.
I agree.
And they're juggling between offense and defense and trying to figure all this stuff out. And um, Brian Thomas Jr. hasn't been good either. The running game's been going well. So yeah, I'm still a believer in the talent, and I would still be buying.
Yeah, I would if I could get him cheap. I already own him, so I can't. But if I could get him cheap, I would definitely be personally looking to get him because a couple things with the Jags, in my opinion. With one of the reasons maybe why Brian Thomas is not working well, it's a brand new offense in their lean cone, so they're learning a new offense, and it's an effective offense. I mean, they're 3-1. The running game's working out. I think the passing game's going to pick up as well. The other thing is Travis Hunter is a legitimate, unbelievable talent. We saw it on display. He was drafted this high with that much draft capital for a reason. Um, and we don't want to disregard that after 4 weeks. I know we've been spoiled with a lot of rookies breaking out quickly over the past couple of years, but you got to show some patience. I mean, Garrett Wilson didn't break out this quickly when he was a rookie. JSN did nothing his rookie year. Quinn Huge did nothing his first 2 years. Nico Jones, like these rookies sometimes just need time to develop, especially sometimes these super talented guys. It's not always going to be immediate. You get on the field and you're going to start dominating, especially because with Travis Hunter, they're experimenting with a new type of asset that no one's ever seen before. They're trying to figure it out as well. They haven't really had anyone where they play both sides there. they're figuring this out. They're figuring out a brand new offense, and the player himself is figuring out a new league.
Yeah.
So I would, and this just goes for all rookies. I would not be selling any rookies, at least in the first half of the rookie season yet. You got to kind of let them see what's going on. The one thing is you are seeing at least flashes from Travis Hunter. He had like a really great catch this past week. He's up in a couple, like 2 weeks ago. He only had one catch 2 weeks ago, but I think it was like a 22-yard catch. It was a really nice catch. So you're seeing the flashes once he gets a little bit more consistency and understand that he's learning two playbooks too right now. It's going to take, he may have a slightly longer ramp, but if you sold JSN cheap, JSN right now is like a top 5 wide receiver in year 3. You would
Yeah.
be kicking yourself for that. So I would not be selling on these rookies this quickly. I am still very high on the talent. Dynasty is a long game. But I do understand. I fall victim of this too. We have been spoiled, so we are expecting to see players show up quickly. But I'd be cautious there.
Also, Shane Waldron, not a good
Oh,
offensive coordinator.
also he was with JSN, and
Yeah,
JSN he
not a good offensive coordinator. Jason famously rolled his eyes and had a very sarcastic comment to make.
he's like, is this on the record?
Yeah, upon learning that Shane Waldron was leaving and being asked about what the team could look forward
Mhm.
to getting, right? Because he went from Seattle to Chicago, right? I think he went to Chicago.
Yeah. Oh, Roma Dunze, another one.
Yeah.
Horrible
And
rookie
then
year, and now
Chicago
he's staying
stunk
up
last
there.
year, and now he's in Jacksonville, and Jacksonville, like he's basically nuked
If
Brian Thomas
anything,
Jr.
buy rookies who are in Shane Waldron's offense before their second and third year. That's actually
I
a
would buy
great.
both of those guys. You could probably buy Brian Thomas Jr. right now at a
Oh yeah,
price that is significantly lower than his actual value. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm I'm in on both for Dynasty. Just
Yeah,
to be clear.
no, yeah, redraft. I don't think it's going to be good this
Yeah,
year, but
yeah.
yeah. What about your selling, Joe?
Um, I tossed around a couple guys for sell. One guy that I thought about was actually Quentin Johnson himself, and it's not because I'm not totally a believer. I actually I think I'm a believer. Um,
Smash
but
Mouth.
I just feel like his perceived value right now is so high, and you could honestly he's still in an offense with um explosive running game and Lad McConkey in the slot and Keenan Allen on the other side of the field, and he spent the first 2 years of his career being inconsistent and a little boom or busty, and now suddenly he's commanding 8, 10, 13 targets in a game. um, I don't know that he is, like going to go down the Devonte Adams path of struggling, like with drops and things of that nature in his first 2 years, and then all of a sudden becoming like a stud wide receiver immediately after. Um, so I would just at least explore the possibility of trading Quentin Johnston, but my actual trade away, um, I'm going to go with Kyler Murray. I'm really just I'm pretty out on a lot of what I've seen from Kyler this season. It's been very inconsistent. He throws a lot of bad interceptions. He's not as willing to run always, you know. It's weird, sometimes he runs, sometimes he doesn't run. I think he has this perception of a quarterback that's going to rush the ball 8, 9, 10 times a game, but lately he's only been rushing the ball um, closer to like 4 or 5 times a game. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is coming from somebody who traded Kyler. Um, like
That's right.
last week, he only rushed the ball 5 times. The week before that, he only rushed the ball 6 times. 38, 32, 37, 40 yards rushing on the season. Um, has thrown 3 interceptions and 6 touchdowns so far this year. Hasn't broken 20 points once. QB 16, QB 22, QB 16, QB 16. And in addition to that, he's 28 years old. And, like he's always had a little bit of like a weird, attitude about him where, it doesn't seem like he's trying all the time. And obviously his height is well documented as a challenge for him. And I just think the older he gets, the less the rushing is going to, the less of an asset the rushing is going to be. And you've already, obviously, like I just gave you the numbers, like it's a little down relative to what it was. Still doesn't have a rushing touchdown on the season. So I just think right now you might be in a position to get value for Kyler, equivalent value for Kyler, either at the quarterback position or elsewhere, especially in super flex leagues, where I don't know that his actual value is at, let's put it this way. If you looked at here, hold on, I'm going to bring up the Dynasty, just a Dynasty. I'm going to give you the names of the two guys that are ranked before him and the two guys after him. So 2 guys ranked before him, Brock Purdy and CJ Stroud. We don't really like either of those guys, right?
No.
Trevor Lawrence and Dak Prescott after him. I honestly think I'd probably rather have Dak than either Kyler or Lawrence. And yeah, I'd put Kyler in the same bucket as Stroud or Purdy, Baker. Like I just think that there's probably, I don't necessarily view him as the fourth best, like a tier 3 quarterback. Looking at tier 4, Dak Prescott, Jackson Dart, Jared Goff, Michael Penix, Justin Fields. I'm a big Fields guy. I think I'd probably rather have all of those guys in my starting lineup than Kyler. So, and they're all younger.
Yes, Dynasty, I would not want Fields. Fields, I don't think is quarterback next year, but yeah.
And they're all younger, right? These are all guys who are, except for Dak. Dak's pretty old.
Yeah, but Dak has a couple more years in him. I'd be okay with Dak.
Yeah. So I personally I'd be looking to trade Kyler if I have him and there was somebody who's willing to pay.
I would go for one of the younger guys who has upside to, like, even if they're not as good as him, Kyler, potentially this year.
Maybe you can package Kyler and somebody and get like a Drake May or Caleb Williams, or Bo Nix, like any one of these guys that I would so much rather have any of those guys than Kyler right now. I mean, not to say that they're like a 1-for-1 value. I think anybody would rather have those guys than him.
Kyler's also just not a fun player to have. He's a headache.
Yeah, I think you can package him. It's not enjoyable
to watch it.
This is where that's where the perceived value comes from. Like he rushes the ball, like wait for a game where he rushes 1 or 2 touchdowns in and then package him with somebody and try and get
You don't realize how annoying it is to own Kyler until you own Kyler. That's kind of what it is. Like you're like, oh, the points are okay. He rushes the ball, it'll be all right. But then you watch and it's like he has like 3 points through 3 quarters. And then the 4th quarter, maybe he runs around a ton because the team is like in disaster trying to. It's just not fun. It's not sustainable. I think NFL teams are going to get tired of him. So yeah, I'd be trying to sell him as well. Moving to my sell, I'm going to give tight end because we haven't really talked too much about tight ends, and we're in a tight end premium league ourselves. But I'm saying Dalton Kincaid, who is currently the tight end 3.5 PPR scoring so far. He said tight end finishes of tight end 1, 18, 3, and 12 through 4 weeks. And with the tight end landscape, how it's looked, with some people disappointing. If you're just looking at box scores with Kincaid, he looks like a post-hype sleeper with first-round draft capital who's finally fulfilling that value that you were hoping for. He was a first-round pick in rookie drafts as well. But when you look under the hood, not always the best signs there. For one, he's just not on the field very much. He's splitting time with Dawson Knox. He's seen snap rates of 51%, 48%, 55%, and last week, 37%. These are not the snap rates you want to see for an elite tight end producer that we generally target. And you need to be on the field to score points. That's just one of the easiest things to figure out. You can't score points if you're not on the field. And his fantasy finish has been propped up by touchdowns. He scored 3 in the last 4 games. So if you remove those touchdowns, you're going to have very disappointing fantasy finishes. And touchdowns are very hard to predict for anyone, wide receivers or tight ends or even running backs. So you need, when you're targeting tight ends, at least the higher end ones, you need volume of targets and yards, usually yak guys. And that's not what Kincaid has been. This year, he's only had a target share of 15.1%, including only 2 targets this last week, which he only caught one for 28 yards and touchdown, which again propped up his score. That percentage ranks 23rd on the year for tight ends. That when you're a tight end, if you want to be an elite producer, that number needs to be over 20% at least. That's like the floor that you want for it. He's at 15.1, so he's just not there. But again, I think this is the time to sell because it's looking like this could finally be a guy who's fulfilling in all the needs, and there isn't a wide receiver emerging for the Bills. But I'd be trying to sell him on the hype of that post hype sleeper value. So that's my sell.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, moving in.
Every time I think it's time to pick him up,
No,
he comes out with a
he'll dud. He's going to give you a dud the second you finally rely on him.
Yeah.
Moving into the next category.
Seriously, don't sleep on the Gouda.
We're going to hit you with a couple quick sweepers for week 5 here. I'll throw out my first one because we're keeping it with tight ends. So a lot of this stuff I look at, and I'm sure a lot of listeners look at like all different sleepers lists across all different analysts. So you see a lot of the same names, but this is a name that I actually haven't seen anywhere, and I'm kind of surprised. It's Chikakonkwo. So I already mentioned tight ends are ass, and Cam Ward even said that specifically we are ass this past week, kind of calling out even his own coach. So they need a spark this week, and I feel like a lot of times when you see a team, especially a quarterback like that, they come out the following week with a little bit more oomph in it. So I think there's more motivation to get the offense hopefully going. And one of the main targets or perceived main targets, Calvin Ridley, has only played 54% of snaps last week and only got 3 targets, and he's apparently banged up going this week. So we're not even sure he's going to play this week, and if he doesn't, even better for Chig. So the only other main target is a rookie, Alec Iomanner, who's a decent player himself, but not a target hog by any stretch of the imagination. And the Cards D, while it's a good streamer this week because the tight ends offense sucks, not a super scary defense. They're a solid defense, but nothing great. But if you actually look, they've been kind of bad against tight ends so far this year, and they haven't really played any elite tight ends. So in week 1, they played Jawan Johnson, who looks good, but he's kind of fallen off a bit. He's not elite, but he's a decent option. But he went 8 for 76 yards, 8 catches for 76 yards on 11 targets. Week 2, play the Panthers. Tavian Sanders, not an elite option. He had 9 targets, went for 7 for 54. Week 3, there wasn't really a tight end option against the 49ers, but they had Jake Tonges, or whatever you pronounce his name. He's playing right now. And this is the first time he was like really relied upon. He had only 3 targets because CMC had 15, but still even went 2 for 21. That's not bad for a tight end who no one heard of and was picked up that exact week in Dynasty. But then last week in week 4, both tight ends, Elijah Arroyo on 4 targets went 2 for 44. That's a lot of yards per catch. And then AJ Barner on 3 targets went 3 for 32 and a touchdown. The tight end is getting open against the Cards D. And Chig is a hyper-athletic tight end with a lot of yak ability and has already posted a 16.8% target share, which is 15th among tight ends. And again, if Ridley's out, that's going to go up. So you're telling me that there aren't a lot of receiving options. It's a defense that gives up yards to the tight end. I'm going to target Chig, who everyone's overlooking. No one's valuing right now. So that's my sleeper.
Yeah, I like the pick. For mine, there's a lot of guys out there this week to kind of pick from. I think one good option is Sean Tucker, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It really, and not to say that I would start Sean Tucker over Rachaad White if I had to choose between the two. White was previously the starter before the emergence of Bucky Irving, and White has also looked really good as a complementary back to Irving throughout 4 weeks of this season. I do think that White will get the majority of the work, but how much of a majority might be, 55-45, 60-40. Sean Tucker's a good back between the tackles. He's a big guy, and he's definitely had some good outings in the past when he's had opportunity for to be the lead back due to injury. Similar situation in Arizona with Michael Carter and Emery DeMarcado. But my hopes aren't as high for Michael Carter. Obviously, Michael Carter's been around the block a few times, and team seems to really like him. He seems to be like a big locker room guy, and I do think that he'll slide into the Benson role, and DeMarcado will probably retain his passing role. Maybe you know, I'm not if I was choosing between Tucker and Carter, I would rather have Tucker. I think the likelihood that Tucker's carries are valuable and what he's shown and the opportunity he's gotten so far. And this is all assuming Irving's out, to be totally honest. Like, I don't think he's been officially ruled out yet. And there's been times when he's been hurt and played and, barely touched the ball. So I definitely think there'll be a good blend of Tucker and Rashad White this week. And obviously White's going to be the guy on the wire who's going to command the majority of the attention. So if you need somebody to throw in there, Tucker's definitely a guy I think you could throw in.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, we're Syracuse fans on the spot and a lot of listeners as well. So we know Tucker very well, but he's a very, very talented back. He's definitely more talented, in my opinion, than DeMarcado and Carter. He was getting first round buzz before the only reason he fell in was on draft is because he had a heart problem going in. He's cleared of that now. He is very talented. You saw it last year. I think he went for like 200 yards and 2 scores in one of the games last year. He is very talented when given the opportunity, so I'm all for that. 2 other quick guys I want to throw out there. Isaiah Bond, rookie, another guy whose draft capital fell. I think he went undrafted, but he got a fully guaranteed contract, high end. He had off-the-field issues, but he was coming out of Texas with Golden. He was very fast. He said he was going to break the record. He missed it completely. I think he ran like 4.4, but he is a very fast, little smaller guy, but he is a good option as well. And he's been playing and getting targets. And now with Tillman out, he should get even a bigger target share. And Brashard Smith for Kansas City, another rookie. The running backs in Kansas City have been terrible. Brashard Smith's not a great runner, but he's a good pass catcher and pretty quick. And he may be able to get the Jerick McKinnon role that the Chiefs used to have a few years back, which proved to be a very valuable role. And they've been hyping him up, talking about him more. They want to give him more touches. It seems like every week, and this week especially, they say they want to get him even more involved. So that's someone who I'd be looking to maybe put in as well.
Yeah, good picks.
All right, and then moving on to next segment. We're hoping to show you some money. So last week we didn't get you in the green technically. We had a couple close ones. My glory play, which was basically 119-1. Wicks missed by 21 yards and Golden missed by 12 yards. And that's all I needed, and that would have hit, which makes me feel like it was pretty spot on. Honestly, if I took their probably regular yardage lines, it would have hit. But I got greedy. But it's okay. I was trying to get us rich on the first one. Ryan's missed because the Bills did not cover 15.5-point spread. They only won by 12. And Joey was very, very close. Jetty had that touchdown. Raiders lost by 1. He was called them for money line, and the Bowers missed by a reception. So very close there. So we're on it. We're just missing.
Yeah, we were dancing around it on the last drive, and that was such a tough loss. Man.
Yeah,
the Raiders should have won that game. Turned the ball over in their own territory. How many times they won the yards per play and overall offense by 100 plus yards. They really had no business losing that game. That was a tough one.
I know. It's all right. We're gonna get back in green this week.
But yeah, even if they won, to be frank, like more of the issue was Bowers.
He's not.
Bowers had three catches. We weren't really that close, honestly, on the Bowers receptions.
At the end, he got a couple.
He literally had 3 on the last drive.
He had 2 going into the third quarter. I think.
It's weird.
I think he's hurt. I mean, he may not play this week, so I don't think he's recovered since that week 1 injury with his knee.
Yeah.
But this week, going to get green. We're going to green. I'm going to start off. I'm going to go with a less variance one this time. I'm trying to get a win under my belt. So I'm going to be hitting up the Dolphins-Panthers game. 3-leg same game parlay here. I'm going to go with Tetaroa McMillan over 4.5 receptions. Jaden Waddle over 5.5 receptions with Tyreek Hill out. And Devon Achane with over 63.5 rush yards, because I do think the Dolphins may win that game, and the Panthers' rush G is not very strong. So I think Achane might rip off a couple, but he's actually been getting a lot of opportunities there. So that all together gets you about plus 479 on FanDuel. I haven't fully shopped around, see if you can get better options, but that's nearly 5-1 for you. So I think that's a nice one. 3 legs, not a lot going on there, but that's a pretty nice payoff for a parlay there.
Yeah, I like it. I might actually be taking that one myself, to be totally
I'll
honest.
put that in after pod, but I've been dancing around with it.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So mine this week, I'm going to go 3 legs again. I really like this one. I mentioned earlier that I think the Cincinnati offense, they've had 2 tough matchups the last 2 weeks. They were, help me out, they were on the road at Minnesota, and then they were on the road at Denver. That's 2 tough spots. Both of those defenses get after the quarterback quite a bit. Obviously, Cincinnati has issues on the offensive line. So I think that things will be a little bit more open for them this week. I think that I don't think they're going to stop the Lions in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. Their passing defense is 30th out of 32 teams in the league. So I think this will be a high-scoring game, and I'm banking on the Bengals to keep up a little bit. So I'm going to take Jake Browning, pass yards over 225.5. I'm going to take Jamar Chase, anytime touchdown scorer, and I'm going to take Jameson Williams. And this is where you can toggle, depending on your appetite for risk. You could take him anywhere from 50 to 70 or 80 yards. His high on the season is over 100. So if you really want to go big, go big. But they just missed Jameson on a couple of deep throws last week, and he's getting quite a bit of targets still. The offense has been going well, and like I said, Cincinnati is very, very low. I think 30th out of 32 teams defending the pass. I expect, or I hope, that the Bengals will keep pace. So I personally am taking Jameson Williams to record 75-plus receiving yards. I had a $50 bonus bet on MGM, so I played it there. But yeah, Jake Browning over 225.5 passing. Jamar Chase anytime touchdown. Jameson Williams 75-plus receiving, and that's 10-1. So plus 1,000. Only 3 legs. And let's try and get on the board.
All right. I love it. We're going to get there. Well, once we start winning, we're tracking how many units we're up and down for the year as a pod.
Yeah. So far we are we're all down. We're all minus 1 unit for the season.
Yeah, but it's all right. It just takes one, man. One. All right. And then moving in, real quick update on our league, again, with the weekly highs and weekly lows. Hose, man.
The weekly hose.
That is a Freudian slip if I've ever heard one. Anyway, weekly low. I'll start with myself because I was a weekly low this week with a score of 90.24. Still not the worst on the year. That is Harry and Dan. Still lowest score, Harry and Dan. And the highest was Adam and Katz. They scored 160.2. That is the highest score on the year. So congrats to Adam and Katz, and congrats to me for not scoring the lowest on the year. So that's great. Any final thoughts before we hit the outro, Joe?
No. Take the Browns and the under and lock in 2 units before you even wake up on Sunday, and then have a day.
That's right. You just start the day in the green, baby. That's the dream. But with that, thanks again for listening, and good luck on week 5, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Episode of the NSFW Dynasty podcast. Tune in next time.